What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Laugh and Death podcast. Yes, we've been on hiatus for a little bit. Game of Thrones kind of killed me. I needed a few weeks off. I'm still a little bummed out about it. But yeah, we are back. We're a conversational podcast based out of the Rio Grande Valley. Check us out over at our Instagram at Laugh and Death Podcast and our YouTube channel, youtube.com/laughanddeath. Yeah, so I'm Dave.
What's up? My name is Alex.
And I'm Fern.
And yeah, man, it's been a minute. I miss you all.
Yeah.
Dearly.
For sure. I miss being in front of this mic and talking to you all about
For real. I know we've been trying to get back at this for the last like 2 or 3 weeks now, and time has just not been on our side. But we're back. We're so close to our 1-year anniversary, which is going to be on July 21st. And we have something special planned for that. We're going to probably do a watch along of our pilot episode. I do have to edit it because there's a few things that we said in there that could self-incriminate us in the future, and in case we run for political office.
Hey, I didn't kill that person. You know, allegedly.
I mean, describing your turrets as a hate crime was pretty offensive, but yeah, I mean, it's been crazy, and I'm glad to be here with you guys.
Yeah, I'm definitely glad to be back. I guess just to go right into it, this whole week there's been a lot of announcements of new video games coming out through the E3.
Oh, hell yeah.
Freaking
conference.
Like, I'm just excited in general to, I don't know, every year, like anything new coming out, especially like I remember when Dying Light first came out, I was like, oh, this looks interesting. I played it a lot. A lot of people didn't play Dying Light. And then Dying Light 2 is coming out, and I'm like, oh shit, this is fucking intense. But I remember like a couple months back, I think I even talked about it on here. I brought up the Cyberpunk 2077. Yeah. And they had at the time they had like an intro gameplay, which was with this girl. And all the cutscenes looked freaking like insane. And it was talking about like augmentation. And we actually kind of talked about augmentation and like, would you do updates on yourself in this future era of like living where you're half like cyborg, half human and stuff. And this is kind of what happens in Cyberpunk 2077. But what like caught me off guard, I guess, because I'm not that informed over Keanu Reeves, but Keanu Reeves is in the freaking game.
That was a
like
huge
crazy. Shocker.
Like the podcast that I listened to, Kind of Funny, is a gaming podcast. They did a reacts when they were watching it. They were live streaming or whatever, and they freaked the fuck out when that "wake up, samurai," and then he gets like, "We have a city to burn." He crouches down, picks up his glasses. Fucking freaking out. I thought it was fucking awesome, the whole clip, and then he's like, oh, I'm in the game, check out the gameplay, and then they fast forward to the game, and it looks really good. We're good. I'm stoked for Cyberpunk. I don't think it's going to make its March 2020 release date.
You don't think so?
I don't think so, man. Because
I know they brought it out. I think they brought it out late last year. They first announced it.
They revealed it last year, and then
wasn't that one like announced also like the year before that?
Well, the name of it was the CD Projekt Red, who's the developer, came out and said, "Oh yeah, we have this game coming out after Witcher 3, which did amazing, won a bunch of Game of Year awards." They were like, "Oh, we're doing a first-person shooter," and they're not used to doing first-person shooters, and then this is their first foray into it. So I'm like super stoked about them, like dealing with all the augmentations and stuff like that. What I've seen looks fucking incredible, and I know that some of the people have watched some behind closed doors videos, and they did some reacts, and they were like, "This has the potential to be the greatest game of all time." And I'm like, "Shut the fuck up!" But then the people who are saying it are credible people, so I'm like, "Holy shit!" Like,
yeah,
this is awesome.
What seeing this whole Keanu thing happen within the video game world just makes me think of like what other cool, like, I guess, famous people or just celebrities or icons and stuff would be willing to put themselves in video games like that. You know what I mean? Like,
a lot more people now. Like, I know Kevin Spacey did it. I mean, Kevin Spacey's canceled. But before he was canceled, he was in that Modern Warfare game as like the bad guy.
That's right.
And Kit Harington, Jon Snow, was in the second two Call of Duties ago. So Advanced Warfare, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I think he was also a bad guy, right?
Yeah, he was a bad guy.
There was also this this game. I don't think it's out yet, or I don't know what it's called. It may be announced too. It probably got announced again with E3. But with the guy from The Walking Dead.
John Bernthal.
Oh, it's
What's that
no.
name?
Well, John Bernthal's gonna be in a game also, but Norman Reedus.
Yes. You know the game I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's the Kojima game.
Death Stranding.
Death Stranding. Yeah.
And that one seems pretty weird.
It seems really weird. I don't know what's happening.
There's
It
a
seems too
baby
weird.
inside
It
you.
seems too weird.
There's a baby inside you, or you are the baby inside the I don't know. It's
So
just like
what I analyzed from those trailers is that they're using the babies to like de-age.
oh, okay.
And there's this one specific one the one Norman Reedus has, his character has, that they're after. And it has to do with the president dying, and like in the whole trailer it shows like the president in the Oval Office like on a stretcher, which would never fucking happen. And yeah, it seems too weird.
And they're like in a planet, like a foreign planet. Also, they're just right. They're just doing research or something. I mean,
it's like post-apocalyptic. Too.
it's so weird. But talking about like E3 and games and Keanu being in one, I saw Keanu Reeves trending on Twitter, and I was like, oh man, like? It's either he's dead or he did something bad, or like And then I saw like Keanu Reeves in Cyberpunk 77. I was like, or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, cool. And then I saw the clip where he's on stage and somebody from the crowd yells, "You're breathtaking." And he's just like, "You're breathtaking." And everybody just like, "Oh my God."
All these fucking memes came out too. Like there's one where it's like, Keanu needs a tissue. It's Keanu sneeze.
Yeah.
And then Keanu needs takes a deep breath. Keanu breathes.
Keanu breathes. Yeah.
It's so
There's also
dumb.
this meme of like, because you brought it up earlier, like he's the new Chuck Norris, and it's the meme of like, it's somebody holding keys, and it says Chuck Norris, and it says coolest guy in the world, and it's like a palm holding it to catch the keys, and it's Keanu Reeves on the hand.
Yeah.
That's so fucking cool.
Like passing the torch, I guess, or something.
There was been a lot of Keanu Reeves stories going around, like even before this. I guess because John Wick is coming out, he's also going to be in the Toy Story 4 movie. Yeah, I think he's like a stuntman toy.
That's awesome.
Cool.
And you said he was in that movie with what's it called? Be My
Always
Maybe?
be my maybe or
Always Be
something
My
like that.
On Netflix. Yeah.
Yeah, on Netflix. He has a little cameo, spoilers, for a shitty movie. He has a cameo where he's in the movie for like 10 to 15 minutes, and it's fucking hilarious because it's like, in this is the end where Jonah Hill plays like Jonah Hill, but to like the 10th power.
Yeah, yeah,
This
yeah.
is Keanu Reeves to the 10th power.
Okay.
And he's so fucking cool and like suave, and then he's a fucking idiot too, so it's
Yeah.
fucking hilarious.
Yeah. But there was like a fake story going around that he was like lonely and like he couldn't find like a woman to settle down with because like he wants to find the right one, and so he's kind of like going through life by himself and just not knowing what he wants. And people were like, "Oh my God, Keanu Reeves is it's so sad. He's a soft boy. We need to take care of him. We need to protect him." But it just turned out to be a fake story that somebody.
So the whole like, because there was like facts about Keanu Reeves, like he's done this, he gives his money to charity. His high school sweetheart died of cancer, and
while she was pregnant,
while she was pregnant with his kid.
Yeah.
So the baby died, and then minutes later she died, and he's never like really like pursued like relationships with women. Like
Wow, I had no idea about all that stuff.
he's like a super interesting person. And, like there's videos of him like sitting on a subway with like a cap on and sunglasses, like real incognito, but somebody recognized him. And then like a pregnant lady walks in, he gets up and he like offers her the seat, and like I was like, wow, man, this guy's like chivalrous. And
Yeah, and I think Olivia Spencer had a story that when she first moved to LA, that she was on her way to an audition and her car broke down in the middle of like a busy street, and this guy in a motorcycle just happened to roll by and like stopped and was like, "Hey, do you want me to help you push the car out of the way or whatever?" She's like, "Yeah, please." And turns out it was Keanu Reeves, like just making his way downtown.
During the shoot of John Wick. Oh, hold on, let me go be a good Samaritan.
That's what I was setting up. But that he's just super nice, and a lot of people. This is this podcast I listened to also, and one of the people on that was hosting, they were saying like that she used to work at a bookstore, and Keanu Reeves every Wednesday would call to the bookstore ahead of time and be like, "Hey, it's Mr. Reeves. I'm gonna stop by at this time. If you could set these books aside for me." And that every time he would go, like he just chill, pay for his stuff, and like, "Okay, thank you," and then just leave.
I'd like to imagine that Keanu Reeves lives in like a 1-bedroom apartment, like a nice 1-bedroom apartment, no TV, internet maybe, like one dish, one plate, like like in his refrigerator. He only has ketchup in his refrigerator, and he just like reads books all day, and then his phone rings. He's like, "We have a job for you." He's like, "Okay," and
right, like he's just humble, like, or he's just like simple and like kind of not affected by today's society in a sense or ways.
And you mentioned Chuck Norris and like a celebrity that has kind of like that status of just like, oh my god, he showed up and like everybody lost their mind is Bill Murray.
Oh yeah.
You always hear those stories of Bill Murray showing up to a wedding party and it's like, oh hey, I'm Bill Murray, let's party, like everybody's like, oh my god, yeah.
Like no, like they probably don't even know half the shit that's created about them, and they're just living their life. But like, it's just
a manager that I know was at LAX at a restaurant, sitting at on the edge where like it's kind of like boutique style where like you can just like walk by or whatever, and I think it was I could have sworn it was a store manager who told me this. He was like that a guy walked by, grabbed fries off his plate, put them in his mouth, and it was Bill Murray, and goes, "Nobody will believe you," and walked away.
I was gonna bring up that line.
What the fuck?
Dude.
I was gonna bring up the line that's his go-to line, like nobody's gonna believe you, and then just kind of
that's
like,
awesome.
Or he'll take somebody's ice cream, nobody will believe you, and like eat it and just walk away.
But yeah, some people were. I mean, this podcast they were talking about Keanu Reeves and like talking about Bill Murray, and like they're both getting to that point of like
Their own meme.
yeah, their own meme. But the lady there, she was saying like Bill Murray is like known to be an asshole if he's just like not in the mood.
Yeah.
And I mean, I get it.
Yeah,
People are assholes all the time, but he's like, yeah, and he also beat his wife like in the 70s and like almost killed her. So that too.
So the 70s were crazy, man. Cocaine.
Also, what makes me think of like I guess Bill Murray is that scene in Zombieland where they go to his mansion and he paints himself up like a fucking zombie, and he's what's his name, Jesse Eisenberg?
Yeah.
He shoots him. He's like, oh my god, I thought you were a zombie. No, he's like actually gonna die. Dude, that's like the funniest
and then he
thing.
just takes forever to die too. He's just like,
yeah, like he keeps going back and then like he's going in and out.
That is my favorite and the funniest fucking scene in any movie I've ever seen before.
Yeah.
Like I saw it in theaters. I absolutely died. I thought it was
Every time it's like gold.
he's gonna be in a zombie movie coming out next month, I think, or next week. No, this week on Friday.
Is it that one with
Adam Driver. Yeah, it's the dead don't
die. Or,
Yeah, and it looks pretty good. Like, I mean, just from the trailer alone, I kind of figured that zombie movies, some zombie shows are my favorite genre of show. I don't know. Like,
but this is like a comedy
And,
zombie
yeah.
movie, right?
I'm pretty sure he's in Zombieland 2 also. I heard
You think
I heard them say that he might be in Zombieland 2. How the fuck that happens, I have no idea.
I mean, maybe he's a zombie, right?
yeah, it's kind of like in Shaun of the Dead where his friend's just a zombie, but he's playing video games with them.
Yeah.
And he's just like, no,
he's like, no. Playing PS2, I think, right?
yeah.
That's good, man.
So, any other games you're looking for from E3?
Me myself. I mean, I know Frankie. Shout out to Frankie. He's been talking about the new Modern Warfare, which is like the prequel. Is it like a prequel?
It's a prequel, but I think they're doing also like
They're remaking.
remastering.
Not remastering.
They're remaking the universe.
Oh, okay.
Of Modern Warfare.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And I love it. I love Modern Warfare 2. Play Modern Warfare after that. I went back because I started with War 2, and it was awesome.
Yeah. I enjoyed it too. I mean, right now I'm still obsessed with Blackout, the battle royale mode of Black Ops. And then Frankie's like, "Hey, so are you gonna get Modern Warfare?" I'm like, "Does it have a Blackout mode? Does it have a battle royale?" He's like, "Nah." I'm like, "Nah, I'm good." Because I don't know. I don't play the multiplayer stuff as much as that I used to way back in the day. So like, I don't know. Maybe depending on how it looks and how the gameplay looks, especially with this new like next gen console era happening and shit. Like maybe. But other than that, the only other person that's like excited about it is my girl for Animal Crossing, which is on the Nintendo Switch. So it's making her want to get a Nintendo Switch, and I'm like,
there's a new Halo game coming out too.
Infinite.
I never played Halo. I played it a little bit with my friend's systems.
It's okay.
Never had an Xbox or anything.
Halo 3 was started my gaming. Well, not really, just like online gaming obsession.
See, like the thing that I got into was like a Unreal Tournament because it was on PS3. I mean, I know there was stuff before, like for PC, I think, and but I played on PS3, and that kind of had the feeling of Halo mixed with the characters of Gears of War, and it was all like a multiplayer deathmatch thing like that. So that was cool. That's what kind of like somebody told me, "Oh, you play Unreal Tournament? You should play Halo." And I played Halo, and I was like,
Yeah,
I wasn't really into Halo.
Halo at its peak was Halo 2, and I used to hang out with my buddies. I worked at GameStop, so like we were there for the midnight launch. It came out, met up with all of them, and we stayed at one of my buddies' house, Rolly, and we played all night. And we were just being douchebags with each other. It was just like, I don't think I like this game, but we loved it because we were freaking out.
Yeah.
And we had the system link. We had 4 TVs in one room, and we were just like nonstop. It was fucking great.
So apparently, I don't know if y'all heard of Dauntless. It's like another new. It's not battle royale because it's like, it's a free game on PlayStation, and my friends have been playing it, but I remember them finding it like maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago and messaging about it, putting Dauntless. Oh, let's play Dauntless. To them, not even all my friends always do this where they just talk shit about the game, but they love it so much. So they'll say, "Hey, you want to play Dickless? Hey, you want to play Assless?" Like not even. It's like completely away from the game name already. So I don't even know what the fuck they're playing anymore. And I'm like, "What the fuck are y'all talking about?" They're like, "Oh, Dauntless." And I looked it up and I'm like, it's kind of like not turn based, but like you fight against monsters, but with it's a multiplayer online game with your friends and shit. Like, I don't know, it's fucking weird. It's kind of like maybe League of Legends, but not over the top view like that. And it's more like you're third person.
Is it like
kind of like Smite?
Yeah, or like
Friday the 13th?
No. It's like that game Shadows of. No, it's not Shadows of Mordor. I don't know which I'm talking about. Dark Souls. Is it kind of like this? Like
Okay.
Dark Souls.
Yeah.
That's like that.
Hack and slash?
Yeah.
Yeah, like that. Or like Devil May Cry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, shit like that, but online. And then you know.
But going back to Halo real quick, I remember in high school, every computer, like, I don't know if what happened or like who snuck that in there, but I remember if you go to like the computer lab, whatever, or any computer on campus, and you would type in like a certain like thing in the search bar, it'll bring you up to a folder, and that folder you click like 2 down, and then like you go to another folder, and then you launch Halo. I think it was like a Halo demo, and it was connected to the whole school. So like if your buddy was in computer class and you were just like, "Hey sir, can you use the computer?" and you log on at the same time,
badass.
you all play like against each other. And like there's times where like I'll be like in the computer lab, and I'll leave it open just to wait for somebody to come in, and then somebody will come in like, "Oh, what's up? Like, what class are you in right now?" You know, and we'll start playing like a match.
That's fucking cool, dude. I don't know how the hell y'all did that. That's insane.
I don't know who did it or how, but it was just
Somebody was doing the Lord's work.
it was just awesome.
Yeah. Give them a fucking. It was
you-
probably Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, because you mentioned the LAN parties or whatever. Like that was like
Recently, we had a. Well, not recently, but when Fortnite had first came out, and me and Eddie was still here, and my homie Ben were deep into playing Fortnite. We were playing in the morning online with each other, and then they were like, "Hey, let's hang out." And I was like, "Nah, I don't want to go anywhere." I was like, "Come to my house," and they all brought their PS4 systems and their TVs, and we were just in my room playing Fortnite. I was like, "Why the fuck are we doing this? We could just play online from our homes." Like, and it was sweaty, it was hot as shit in there, and that's one of the days where Eddie was like, "Ooh, I got some sippy juice." Like, that's when that shit got started.
Shout out to Eddie.
Shout out to Eddie.
Welcome home, dude.
Welcome home, man. Straight up.
We need to get him on here.
Yeah,
soon.
straight up. Yeah, I need to ask him. I can't get enough of that stupid fuck. Like, just laughing at him and then with him as well.
I kind of hate both of you. Just because I got really bad FOMO.
FOMO.
That's cool. Dude, when I was in high school, and I've done it to you where I pranked you, like, I would, back when we were on floppy disks and we were running the Windows 95 on the fucking old ass computers, like, I used to, like, make my floppy disk where I put my homework on there, and I would name the file, like, gay porn. So, like, whenever you pulled up, like, the file open, it would say, like, gay porn on there.
Yeah.
And, like, just to be an asshole,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I would have, I'm like, why would anybody want to open this file? So, like, my teachers would get all pissed off at me, and, like, because it would stay in the history forever. And then I remember,
It
like,
happened here, right?
yeah, I
What were
took
we
your
doing?
USB.
What were we trying to transfer? Like music from Andy?
I think, yeah, I
to the
think so.
computer or
Yeah,
something?
I was trying to get beats from Andy. I was trying to give
I
you
couldn't find the USB drive because maybe I placed it on here or something.
Yeah,
I need
and
to stop placing shit around you too. Because
True.
first it was that, and then my fucking wallet. And we show up at Coast. I'm like, oh shit, where's my wallet? And you just fucking lose your shit. Like you start laughing. I'm like, wow, dude.
And I don't know what's going on. And I start laughing because he's laughing.
I know he's just laughing.
And then you're like, what you do? And then we were kind of like drunk too. We're like, what?
I wasn't even worried. I wasn't worried about like how am I gonna pay for this because I felt like you guys would do it, but I would just pay you back.
Dude, we're not that close.
I was like, I would just pay you back, and then I was just worried of like, fuck, someone's gonna run my credit card or some shit. Like I was afraid of that. So fuck you on that.
and I took the two most important cards, your credit card and your bank card. I'm like,
yeah,
and your ID.
I'm like pretty drunk. I'm like looking through my shit, right?
Which shame on that bartender because I took your ID on purpose so that you couldn't drink. You'd be like, oh fuck, I left my wallet at your house.
Did I get ID'd?
We didn't get ID'd that day.
Oh shit.
Yeah. No, because it was that he just had finished yelling at his manager, so
That was fucked up. Yeah.
he was already done with it.
Long story short, I took Alex's USB when we were transferring Andy's music, and I renamed it "Gay Porn," so that when it popped up on my computer, we're like, "What the fuck, Alex?" He's like, "It's not mine." I swear.
How we thought and everything. I was like, dude. When I first saw it, I was like, "What the?" I was like, "What?" I was like, "This is." At first, I was like, "Am I sure this is my USB drive?" There's no way.
A buddy,
you always let it go. Like you always show it. Like you just crack the fuck up.
I love it.
You should have just gone with it, like, "Ooh, goody new ones."
Oh, don't mind this one. I should have been like that.
A buddy of mine would open. He would make A through Z on his opening. Like when you connect a USB, it would be A through Z, and then you would. Each file had something in it, but to get to the porn, you had to type. You had to go to P, and then on the next page inside that folder is A through Z again. You had to click on O. And they would open up a next page, A through Z, and then you have to R, and then
oh my god,
spell out porn,
all the files, and then you would get to
yeah.
his spank bank.
I guess speaking of spank banks and porn, we're coming at you live, guys, with a brand new segment called The Weekly Nut, and this is where dude, sample that shit and throw it in every time. So hopefully, I could talk about a weekly nut on every podcast if it works out that way. I'm gonna just freestyle it. But I guess before the podcast started, me and Fernie we were just like fucking around on the mics, and Fernie's like whispering into the mic like some ASMR shit, if you know what ASMR shit is, and he's kind of like, "Hey guys, welcome to the Live and Dead podcast, and this is this." So he's talking like that, and it kind of just made me think. I'm like, man, I have busted a nut to some ASMR porn.
Question. What is ASMR porn? Is it just people like talking into the mic, or are they like?
No. So let me tell you, there's different levels of ASMR porn. There's literally like,
I'm sorry, Mom.
There's literally like a woman who's just like sexy talking to you, like, oh yeah, take out that, all that. And then there's also just like literally someone's mic'd up, like doing sexual activities to someone. So you just hear all the, right? So that's basically what ASMR porn is. So. Just so anybody listening, watching, that was this week's weekly nut.
Wait, wait, hold on. Let's set up the situation though. Are you closing your eyes, like picturing stuff, or are you just like?
No. Oh, specifically for this one that I had, I was watching because it was like it was a girl in costume as a nurse.
Oh, okay.
And she was supposed to be like, it says like, oh, nurse checking patient for something going on down there. So that's what that one was. So she was dressed like in a sexy like nurse outfit and stuff, and yeah, ASMR porn. Don't knock it till you try it. This week's weekly nut.
No king shaming here.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Oh man,
probably never do it again though.
All right, moving on.
So I started watching Chernobyl on HBO after Game of Thrones. I was like, do I really need this HBO subscription?
I binged it in 2 days. It was great.
Yeah, and people have been raving about Chernobyl, like the docuseries. It's not really a documentary. A lot of people on Twitter I saw yesterday were like, wow, this is so unrealistic, and like this didn't happen. This character that wasn't real, and they were just like complaining how bad it was because it wasn't real. But I was like, nobody said it was a documentary. It's like a docudrama. It's like kind of
make their own story within what
happened. Yeah. And if you guys haven't seen it, I really recommend it. Super good, but it's just so frustrating. Like you were telling me, you were like just anxious about it.
Yeah, I had anxiety the whole first episode because they're walking you through like each moment until it happens, and like there's this one character. I should have looked up their names, but there's this one character who's like in charge of the reactor at that point, and he's just like they're telling him, everybody, all his advisors are telling him, don't. He's like, do it, and shit goes awry, whatever, and it fucking blows up, and he's in denial about the whole situation. They're telling him the core is gone. The core of the reactor is gone, which holds all the uranium that,
like all the radiation and stuff.
Exactly, and they're like, no, it's not. It's not that bad. And they're like, yeah, it is. And they're like, well, use the meter. And the meter only goes up to 3.6. And they're like, oh, it's only at 3.6. It capped out at 3.6. Oh, that's not that bad. It's like a chest X-ray. And then,
a meter for what? Detecting radiation?
To detect, yeah, it's like the.
But it only goes up to that 3 points, whatever, 6. But it ended up being like what, like 15,000.
Holy shit, I see. So they were just tricked to believe like, oh, we're fine.
Yeah.
They were in denial the whole fucking time. Yeah, they're like, oh, we'll go get the other Geiger counter or whatever, and they're like, oh, it's in the safe. So they go and they open the safe and they turn it on and it breaks instantly. So they're like, oh, you see, it was a piece of crap. Like, it's not even that bad. So like the whole time they're in denial that.
God, nothing can go wrong.
Nothing. Yeah, the guy's like, no. He's like, I've done the math. It's everything's right. And like, there's no way for it to fail.
Yeah, even till the end, the guy was on trial and they asked him like, why did you tell him to do this? Like that caused the meltdown or the explosion, because it was an explosion. And he's like, I didn't tell him to do that. I was in the restroom when they did that.
Which is totally fucking lying.
Yeah.
This is it going to be seasons?
It's just one story.
Just one
mini series. Yeah.
Okay. How long was each episode, or how many episodes?
It was 5 episodes. They were all an hour long, except for the last one was like an hour and 10.
Okay.
Hour and 15 minutes.
But it was really good, and it's I was just kind of like enthralled in like the whole like just all the situations that made it the way it was just like it was during the Soviet Union, like Soviet Russia or Ukraine, like it was in Ukraine, and just people from the top were just downplaying it, like, oh, this doesn't happen, or like it doesn't happen here because we're a superpower, and they are and they weren't that back then. They was just kind of like
they didn't want to be humiliated on a global scale, so they were the government. Freaking what's his name? The president at the time, Gorbachev. It was like he was like covering up. They're like, you're at any means you're going to cover it up, but you have unlimited resources to get it under control. And so like tens of thousands of people and even millions of people, because they felt it, like the radiation goes all the way to fucking Switzerland and to fucking, where's the other place?
Is it Belarus?
Belarus, yeah. It spreads everywhere. Moscow, which is like 700 miles away, like they feel it. Like the radiation starts to like pop up there, and they're just in total denial about it. And you're there, and like they're just going through the whole like. They bring in a professor who's like a freaking nuclear nuclear physicist, and then they have another nuclear physicist come in. They're like telling them, like, this is bad. It's so bad right now. Like he's like, picture this one little thing. I don't know. They break it down like where they put things into perspective for you. Okay. How this one little atom of uranium spits out like millions or billions of bullets everywhere, and it's penetrating everything, stone, toys, people, trees. And it's killing everything, and it's just. The fact that they were in denial about it and the fact that the government was covering it all up was the thing that was so frustrating. Yeah. Because you see, like, the politicians are like, all right, it's really bad, you guys. And they're like, no, it's not. It'll never get out. Deal with it. Like, figure it out.
Yeah.
And they escape a lot of, like, huge disasters in the breach of, like, the year that it takes them to get it under control. And
I was going to say, like, could this have easily been, like, something... a modern day, not plague, but a modern day like disaster over
dude, this was 9/11 for them.
No, I think it was a little worse than that. I
mean, a lot worse.
Well, sorry, it probably was that, but it could have been worse because they in the show
it could have been a global thing.
Yeah, in the show they said like if we don't do this is gonna happen, and then the cloud or the steam that's gonna come out from there is gonna travel, and it's gonna like poison this many people, and it's gonna displace millions instead of thousands, hundreds of thousands.
It's gonna, yeah, because there's like a purified water thing underneath the whole like reactor, and it's melting down into the core. And they said if it gets into the water, it's gonna pollute the water, and it's gonna affect millions of people, like all the way to Belgium. Like millions of people will die. They will get cancer and they will die.
And talking about like the government keeping it under wraps is like they asked Germany for a certain like a rover, not a rover, but a robot to like get things off a roof, because they have to like clear the roof, but they can't get close to it because if they do, they're gonna die. Like you could only be close to it for like a minute.
And even then, you're guaranteed to die if you're exposed to it.
I don't think it was guaranteed, but I think if you were exposed to it so longer than a minute, you have like a higher chance. But then they tell the German government like, oh yeah, it's this many like whatever the scale was like, and the robot just breaks instantly. Like as soon as they turn it on, they move forward and then they try to move back again to test it, and it dies. And then the guy there that's in charge of the operation just kind of like pissed off. He's like, really, they couldn't be upfront about like how bad it is, like, you know, like they're still throwing around the propaganda number.
Yeah. So they asked the German government for that device, but the radiation was too strong. They told him, oh yeah, it's not even that bad. It's only like this much. We just needed to move the thing. And the guy blows up, dude. Like I know that show's gonna have a lot of like best actors, and for the drama,
It's
for
getting
the performances, it was great.
It's getting more critically acclaimed nominations or like recognition than Game of Thrones. That the HBO's biggest show like since.
Is there still radiation in that area? Like,
but
is it deadly like that? Like,
it's not. Oh well, sorry. Yeah, it is deadly, like in some spots, and then other spots. Because what they did, they covered it with a dome. They built like this dome, and
It was like a $2 billion project that's only good for 100 years to contain it.
yeah, and this is reactor number 4, I think, and number 1, number 2, and 3. I think 3 was damaged, so they didn't reopen that one. But 1 and 2 was still open, and people were still there around the area where it happened. So. And you could take tours, like take you around, and they have like
they take you to Chernobyl and stuff like that.
They have the meters and stuff, and I think I saw yesterday on Twitter that people like Instagram influencers are going to Chernobyl, like the city, and taking pictures around like the city, where it's like everything's a ghost town, like nobody's there, and they're taking pictures. And there's one picture where some girl is like in a hazmat suit, but it's like half off, and she's like in her underwear, like, you know, just sexy, like Chernobyl, like
that's
scientist.
yeah.
And it's just like, okay, like cool, but why?
Yeah, why? Is it? But it's trending.
Yeah,
You know, it's trending.
There was also a thing was like somebody posted a picture of a piece of graphite from Chernobyl, which is like super illegal, and they posted like, real Chernobyl graphite from the reactor, like $100. And like that thing is like deadly contaminated.
Yeah. Well, guess what I'm thinking is, I guess I remember hearing about this stuff like as a kid or whatever, like not knowing the full scope, still not knowing the full scope of all the situation, right? But like me thinking like nuclear radiation will affect people, like deformities and all this shit, but it's more just like a cancerous thing.
Yeah, because it kind of like breaks down your cells the way a cancer does, and it starts cancers.
If you don't take this certain pill to prevent your thyroid from getting infected from the thing, your body basically just starts to create cancer. And like, dude, the people that were exposed, they show like you're as you're watching like the first episode, they're like, okay, they're normally like white Russian people, and then they start to get red, and then they get redder, and then they start to like melt, and they start like it just gets continuously bad.
That's scary.
And it's so scary because like over a 2 minute. Or what's supposed to be like 2 minutes. The guy grabs a piece of graphite, one of the firefighters, and he grabs it. And he's like, oh, it like burns his hand. They're like, don't touch that shit, dude. Don't touch it. And he's like, oh, okay. So he goes, and then he's sitting there like yelling. They're like trying to get the glove off his hand, and his hand's already melting, dude. Like he's.
Oh my god.
It's so fucking graphic,
I need to
and
watch it.
it was fucking fantastic. Even though we fucking spoiled everything. Hey, it's history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, and it's like it's kind of like you don't know what's real or not. Like people have like a certain clue of what's going on. Like people that were around the area like talked about it and stuff, but also just the amount of propaganda by the government at the time. And like the official death toll is 37 people, I think. But
The Russian
yeah,
document.
or the Soviet Union one, and then but like people are saying like it's way more than that.
Yeah.
Like just adding along like people that didn't die like at the site like within a couple of weeks, but like years later when they have cancer and stuff. And but they were also talking about like because they have a companion podcast with the writer of the show, and he was talking about how only the Soviet Union at that time could have handled a situation like that because they were super nationalistic. So if you told people like, hey, you need to go and help your country, they were like, okay, let's do it. Like, you know, even if it meant like taking years out of from their lives and stuff. And it reminded me of Fukushima. I think that reactor in Japan, after the tsunami hit, it got damaged, and like elderly people volunteered to go help clean up the disaster that happened there because their thinking was like they're gonna die sooner than the younger people. So like to save the younger people, like cancers or stuff later on, older people like 60 up volunteered because I mean the cancers wouldn't develop until way later, like 10 or 20 years in the future, and they're basically at their end by that time already too. So
there's also a part of it where the government's desperate, so they go out and they're like, okay, somebody on the lobby has a connection to these miners, right? So they're like they're coal miners, and so they go up to the coal miners and and a bunch of fucking Game of Thrones cameos are in this. Dude, there's like 5 or 6 characters from Game of Thrones that are like cameos in there. Fucking awesome. Yeah. One of them has lines which had the fewest lines in Game of Thrones. He's like the captain or the corporal or whatever. The one at the end. He was Ironborn. He's the one that knocks out Theon. Yeah. Well, he's like got that long nose, kind of looks like a vampire. Anyways, they go out and they recruit these miners, and they're like, hey, you got to go do this, and it's now, and you have no say. Like they're like, no, we're not gonna fucking do it. But they're doing like the dangerous job. Dude, they're covered in ash like at all times, like in coal. And so they're like, fuck it, we'll do it. So they send all these men, I can't remember how many men, but they're going to go work around the clock. I think 700 men from that coal mine to run around the clock. And it's just like, the guy's zero bullshit. And all he wants is facts. He's like, are my men going to die? He's like, yes. Are they going to get sick? Yes. He's like, okay.
Are you going to take care of them? I don't know.
Yeah. He was like, after this, are you going to take care of my men? Like, financially. And they were like, we don't know. Because the government doesn't know if they can do that for them. And they're to save the fucking world.
And and it was like, and that was just fucked up because that was like a contingency plan that they had to plan for it, but they didn't know if they needed it or not. So they dug this tunnel and did all that, and they didn't need to do it. Like it was just crazy, and there was a lot of dick because they're digging the tunnel. And they're like, it's hot in here. Like, we need fans to ventilate the tunnel. And they're like, well, you can't do that because the dust is going to get in your lungs. And it's like, well, dust already gets in our lungs. He's like, no, not this kind of dust. You don't want this kind of dust because it's radiated. And it's going to, it's weird how the radiation works because you can be next to it and, like, be relatively okay. But if you put it in your body, then that's when it starts fucking you up even more.
If you touch it or anything like that.
Yeah. And they just get butt naked, and there's a lot of dick hanging around.
Yeah, in the show, they get butt ass naked because like it's too fucking hot down there. Because you got to think a nuclear reactor emits a lot of heat, so they're digging towards it, but they can't use fans, so they're going in there like for a minute at a time, and people are coming out there drenched in sweat, and all they have is their fucking like white hats on. It's like a cotton hat or whatever. Jesus, it was fucking Christ. Ridiculous. Like anyway, so like the whole show is like fictional but with non-fiction in it. Like it uses like hardcore facts like the court case and all these people's names,
what the government was doing at that time.
Exactly. And they're like exposing it, and like they're thinking Soviet Union came out saying like, oh, it's propaganda, like it's fake. You know, it's like, yeah, some parts of it are fake because like obviously they want to create a human element to it, to the show, so you can relate to it, because they do have a lot of human element, like relationship where like it's like, oh, who's this person? Oh, he was just a firefighter, but then he was exposed to the radiation because he was there like moments after it happened to like wash it out, and then like his wife, who is like the whole time you're like, get away from me, you fucking dumb bitch, but like that's his wife who loves him and wants to take care of him, and they tell him you can be with him 5 minutes, don't touch him. And what the fuck does she do? She's there for 2 weeks and she's like making out with him. And it's like,
God, dude.
And they said, and they ask her, are you pregnant? And she's like, no. And then she's like, okay, cool, go ahead. And then she's like, oh, you're gonna be a father. And he's like, what the fuck are you doing? It's so fucking frustrating.
I got you.
But like, that's love, man. Like to the fucking most primal feelings, like that. She fucking loved the shit out of this man, like, and she's still there, like.
And it was also like a kind like in that time period where people didn't really understand like what was the radiation, like how it affected you, because I think because they're in the town like Pripyat, whatever it's called, like kind of like 20 miles away, and they see the explosion, they see like all this fire off in the distance, this light emitting, and they're like, oh, we're gonna go to the bridge that's closer to the plant to go like see it, you know, and they get radiated or whatever. And he's talking about like, one of the guys is talking about like, oh, do you think we're gonna get sick? And he says like, oh, my buddy works at as a janitor at the plant. He says that 3 cups of vodka were like it's gonna help you, because that's what they thought. Like they thought like just vodka. And then there's people coming to a hospital and they're radiated, so they like have burn marks. And people are throwing milk on them because that's what they think that's gonna help them. Like, you know, they didn't have the understanding of what.
Yeah. Jesus, man.
So
that's just scary.
Yeah.
It's like it's a lot of fear within the people, or not that they were in fear, right? But because of the whole like the government covering it up, but like the speculation of like you can't understand anything. Even more, a government covering shit up in front of your face.
Well, the whole thing, and this happens in the first minute of the show. I mean, we've already fucking ruined the rest of the show for you, but like the guy is recording his point of view, the main like nuclear physicist and the scientist or professor, whatever he is, and he finishes his tapes, he hides them, and dude, like the fucking KGB is after him, like. And in the show, you see like they're having conversations, and you just see like little silhouettes like out of focus. And like as they move, they come in focus, and it's like KGB's following them. Like, keep your fucking mouth shut, because the Russian government doesn't want anybody to know about this. And he's like, no, we need help. We need to reach out to the Americans. We need to do this. We need to. And they're like, no, we are too proud of a country to allow this to happen. And so like he's being followed, and this is 2 years after the events that he commits suicide. And this happens in the first 60 seconds of the fucking show. And like you're like, what the fuck? Like he committed suicide because the fucking government was still about not saying anything about the thing. So like his death, him killing himself, exposed the government.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because people started looking into it. Like,
yeah.
Other scientists, yeah.
Yeah, and
do you think? I'm not trying to take away from this conversation, right? But do you think like in this day and age with social media, like let's say that same thing would happen, do you think it would be easy to cover up?
No, dude, it'd be tons of memes.
Some radiation memes.
Like this with like a third hand out of your neck, just like, like stupid.
I just imagine, like you just said memes, and I just imagine like the core, like the graphite, whatever, like on the floor, and somebody like with marshmallows on, like roasting marshmallows over it.
Like, how would that feeling go by? You know what I mean? Like, if there's speculation of something happening in America or some shit, but not having the full scope or full answer, like
I do feel like it's happened.
I mean, you want to go straight conspiracy right now?
Conspiracy corner.
I've seen a bunch of posts of people with Ferguson. Like there was protest. I don't want to say riots or protest, like protesting like police brutality or whatever. And turns out like a lot of the organizers or a lot of prominent figures within the protest have died of suicide. and it's just like it's so common. Like it's just like not so common, but it's like just the way they died is like okay, like why all of a sudden all these people died at this roughly the same time, roughly the same way.
Yeah.
And it's just like it could happen. Like it's not like it's not far out to be like they wouldn't commit suicide because they could have,
Yeah.
But
it's
it's
also
still,
not like
yeah.
the other side of the coin.
It's super like
Knowing how
convenient.
convenient, knowing how much controversy there is over these specific topics or subjects, like how easy it is to maybe
and you said
cover it up.
You said the thing about the cover up, but I don't know if you guys remember the Panama Papers that came out a couple years back, where it's just like the richest people in the world are hiding their money and like where they're hiding their money, and nothing happened. Like it just died off, and the reporter that exposed the whole like corruption and stuff like that, she got murdered, and that's it. Like it hasn't moved more than that. Like I haven't seen anything in the news about it anymore, or like any convictions or anything. The story just died.
Is there a paranoia within you guys? Do you think like if we start talking about these types of things that I don't know?
No, I just want everybody to know that I'm very happy with my life, and if the NRA is gonna make it look like I committed suicide because of our gun stances, like, just know we're coming after you.
Yeah, and also follow the Life and Death podcast. Make you
they tweet at us.
Yeah, they tweet at us. Oh, shit. I don't know. I guess that was my perspective from this. Like, what would you think in this day and age with social media and all this shit? Like, how
I think it has happened, and I think the last time it happened was 9/11. That's just me. I'm very like.
We always go back to 9/11 in this podcast.
Yeah,
Right.
It's just like I have a feel like I don't know, man. There was no point to that war, and I don't know. I don't want to get into it. But speaking of conspiracy theories, did you see that thing that we were talking about earlier that you showed me with the whole little alien thing?
Oh yeah. There was this is video. We're gonna link it or put in the video of this little Dobby from Harry Potter, just captured in a security camera, and he's walking down the driveway, and he's just like and he does a little chicken dance, and it just looks like a 3-foot figure, skinny, like really skinny, and just looks like a little duende, like a little elf.
Yeah. I just saw it earlier today before we started recording it. It creeped me out. It did creep me out.
Yeah, and I saw it on Twitter again, and she's like, "Oh, this lady in my neighborhood recorded this on her security camera. Like, what the hell is this?" And a lot of people are just like, "See, I knew aliens were real," or just like, "Oh, there's like elves or stuff like that." But there's this new game coming out. It's Harry Potter, kind of like Pokemon Go, but Harry Potter edition, where like monsters are escaping the wizarding world and coming into the Muggle world, and you have to capture them and like,
It's by the creators of Pokemon Go.
Okay.
So there was somebody said like it's probably just marketing for this game because it does look like the character from Harry Potter, and kind of compare it so you guys can see, but yeah.
And then would you say that there's a woman at the driveway where it happened of the house? Like this woman's son is called Bobby.
Yeah, because Bobby and Dobby.
Yeah, did they say like, oh, it's a Dobby-looking creature?
Yeah, because they were thinking it's probably like her kid just playing a prank on her, or just like with something on his head and just walking out at night. But she's like, I don't let my kid out at night, like
Also, when's the last time that y'all ever seen like on the news? It was national, right? Like it was a national.
Yeah, it was an
like,
Inside Edition
on the news, like something paranormal coming out or whatever.
I don't see a lot on American news, but in not Mexican, but like Hispanic news, kind of like in Univision and Telemundo, they always have like this paranormal aspect to it, where the statue of the Virgin Mary was crying blood, or somebody saw a witch flying on her broom, or just like something like magical healing and stuff like that. So
yeah, that's why I'm saying like, why now in America, like that thing happening, like when does that ever really, at least even to reach social media and share it within the younger generation of people, I guess, because I don't really watch TV, so that's the only way I'm gonna find a clip like that. That's because I didn't even know about it, so you showed me. But I don't know. It does feel like it's like a marketing thing. Like,
yeah. That's what I think. Also, I think it was the marketing, because Harry Potter has collaborations coming out with Vans, and they're doing this game. And I think
Their amusement park. There's a new ride that's opening up like next week or in the next couple weeks.
That's right.
Yeah.
At the Wizarding World of Harry Potter.
And the movies are like still coming out, so
They're releasing 4 new books that are like subjects as far as like what types of magic and like all these little tidbits are coming out.
Yeah, is it like hard? It's not hard to believe that it could be something like that.
Yeah, it could be marketing. And kind of like Jimmy Kimmel did that thing a couple years ago where he made a viral video of some girl twerking and then she falls and like she lights her pant leg on fire and everybody's like, oh, what's funny? And then they show the rest of the clip and he comes out and like with an extinguisher and puts it out. And it's like, oh, see just how easy it is to make a viral video. Like
He did that, yeah.
So it makes sense that companies now are going into like the meme culture and like just viral marketing for their things. And
What okay, let me ask this too. This makes me think of this, but like, because we always find something new. Like, I guess first radio, or newspapers, radio, television, internet, and then the depths of the internet of this weird genre of like social media connection that we have, which is the meme
ASMR porn.
shit. Like, yeah. What's the next thing? Do you think, like, or do people constantly find something new, right? I don't know, just to buy to use their time with or some shit. Like, I don't know. What do you think the next thing would be? Would it be some virtual shit like hologram shit?
Yeah, it'll probably be like
No,
Wall-E.
I just think things are getting extra meta. Everything's just so like, oh yeah, that happens. Like, I don't know. They're gonna find like the most relatable thing that people can get to and be like, oh, okay, viral this way.
Yeah.
Like your fucking badass SpongeBob memes.
Stupid, right?
But also like, because it got me thinking. Also, the U.S. Navy kind of has new guidelines of talking about UFOs and stuff. And what they were talking about to introduce this was the Tic Tac UFOs, and they're not Tic Tac shaped, or the Tic Tac shaped, not size, but like they're unidentified flying objects that pilots have seen, like fighter jet pilots have seen out of in the distance, and they're moving like in a certain speed and like that no human can handle because of all the G forces on them. So they're just like, what is that? Like they're freaking, like you hear the audio and you see the video of it moving, and the pilots are freaking out. Like, what is that? Like what's going on? And so that's been like that shape, the Tic Tac shape has been reoccurring within all these logs that the Navy has released of like footage and stuff. But people are thinking that it could just be like the U.S. military kind of showing off without showing off. Like, hey, look at that. That's our thing. But we're not telling you it's our thing because
you wouldn't be ready to fathom what kind of goes into.
Yeah, because apparently one of the drones, like the Predator drone, was in use in the 90s, and we're still using it today. And like the drone program wasn't like discovered until the early 2000s, like 2010 maybe. Like the people started seeing it more.
I'm sure there has to be a way for these people in power or governments or whatever, armed forces to show something to the public without them thinking that it's gonna like be too much for them to just stop. No, so I mean I'm sure there's got to be like technology like that they knew of like in the 1930s that they didn't release until 1960s or something, but like have a time span of like introducing something to the public to make it seem okay for people to accept it, especially when it's something like convenience is the biggest trap, I think, of like, you know what, trust all your money in a digital world with like credit cards and your phone and stuff. It's convenient for you and there's more security, but then when all the shit hits the fan with like antennas or whatever the fuck, how all these signals are transmitted, like what happens then? You know what I mean? Or when the financial meltdown happens again or some shit, convenience is like the biggest key, I think, for somebody.
Yeah. And also like I hate it when people would say like pharmaceutical companies like are hiding the cure for cancer.
I believe it though.
And it's like, why would people do that? Like, why would people hide the cure to something that could have saved like millions of people.
Because if I'm making billions of dollars making this one pill that slows it down, I'm gonna lose all my business to you if you release your
Yeah,
business, I think.
yeah.
it's
Well,
business. Yeah,
there's this podcast called The Daily by the New York Times, and they were talking about a pill that kind of prevents HIV infections. You take it before and after, and this company just it started off like a $60 pill. They were trying to make it for something else, but then they saw that they had the side effect of preventing HIV, and they hiked up the price like thousands of dollars. And they were saying like this company could just easily open it up to like a generic thing, and people could take it and not run the risk of being infected. But because they want to make a profit,
yeah.
it's so hard for people to come across it. And it's just like, okay, now I see like how these companies are just put profit over people, and people are just kind of like, well, I mean, it's fair. It's like, no, it's not fair. Like they came up with the technology, sure, but
Like I'm sure the scientists behind it are like, we got it. We figured it out. We're gonna save humanity. But the president of the company is gonna be like, dude, we just figured something out. We're gonna capitalize on this.
Yeah.
And it fucking sucks. Like it fucking sucks that
Big pharma, big brother shit, dude. It's like I don't know. I believe that there's cures for all kinds of things or whatever out there in other parts of the world, but
but then again, like they could easily not be,
well, yeah, it's such a 50-50 thing. I mean,
yeah.
but it's not a bad thing to explore that way of thinking. That like, I mean,
Yeah.
if there's speculation of cover-ups of massive like attacks on our nation and shit, like, or whatever the fuck flawed story it may be, like why wouldn't there be like over things like that, because it is a business, dude. I mean,
it's kind of stupid. But I always thought like, why can't scientists figure out how to take the beer smell out of your breath, like out of the beer, like that would prevent so many people from getting. But then again, it does expose people. So I'm like, oh, it's a double-edged sword. But like, if you had one and you smell it on your breath, you get pulled over by a cop, you're gonna get arrested.
I think that's a good thing.
Why not
I mean,
like a wipeless like butt cleaner? I mean, we have duvets or whatever.
Why couldn't we
Bidets.
get dog buttholes, dude, where we don't
Just-
have to wipe?
Yeah.
it pinches it perfectly, huh?
Yeah, dude, it's not right.
Fucking
Unless you're not the short hairs, but cause my dog, my husky, he's a husky, he's fluffy. He has fluff on the back of his ass. Sometimes I've seen him take a shit when I walk him, and the shit rubs on his fur. Like, it doesn't perfectly come out, so I'm like, I wouldn't want to be that kind of dog. So I guess it depends on what kind of dog you want to be when you shit.
Dog butts, dude.
Dog butts, bro. That would be fucked up, though. The idea of the beer thing, because that's just like...
No, because I thought like, why does your breath have to smell like beer, like really strong? It's
think-
like, because like we've gone to Coast, right, and
Yeah.
we've had a few beers, and I don't drink and drive. So when I get dropped off here and I get down and I kiss my wife, and she's like, "Were you drinking?" Yeah. I was like, "I only had 2." She's like, "It smells like you had like 10." I'm
She
like,
starts listing what you
it's-
eat.
12. What's the difference?
I mean, babe, I only spent $10. So it's like, I think science could have helped us out that way.
Dude, it's business, bro.
Yeah, it is
Big business.
They're just trying to keep cops employed, and they're just trying to get state troopers to hit their quota.
What would you even like? How would you eat? What for? Or like, it would just make the beer not
have that smell on your
Or what
breath.
if it was like something you take after?
Because like you can even take gum, and gum doesn't really take it away.
Well, I'm saying that's why. Would they devise something that just like cleanses that palate?
You just put it like on your face.
Oh,
and it
what
just
if you-
sucks your...
And why is it so strong though? Is it because
Exactly.
the hops?
The hops.
Because they're really a potent fucking.
You see, like, okay, so like, what if you like? Well, maybe we should do like ginger strips from like, you know how you cleanse your palate after you eat sushi.
Hey man, I don't care, dude. I don't
just
have.
put
I don't have a
pieces-
wife.
I'm not trying to hide anything. I'm just saying,
I'm
like,
not
if science
trying
could
to either.
fucking help out a brother, you know?
I'm just trying to figure out this fucking no beer smelling beer.
Exactly.
This non beer smelling beer.
Because they have the non-alcoholic beer. Why can't they make a no
It's
smelling?
called the butt chug. Butt chug.
I like your style.
No, but then what happens when
But then you get the
when
Bud
she's
Light
eating me
farts.
out?
What?
Have you been drinking?
Oh my god, that's so good. She gets drunk.
It was only 2 butt chugs, babe. I'm sorry. David had a new funnel.
Damn it.
No.
Why is it gotta be me?
So you're gonna bring up Tom DeLonge?
Oh, so like we were talking about the UFOs and stuff like that, but like I used to, and it's very hypocritical of me, and I admit that because I always thought, man, fucking Tom DeLonge's fucking crazy because he's like gung ho about fucking UFOs, and I'm like, people are that passionate about something that's stupid. To me, I don't know. I have issues. It's like religion. Like people who are like that gung ho, where they're like, oh, I'm a hardcore Christian, but I judge the shit out of everybody. Like, fuck off, you know?
Yeah.
And so like Tom DeLonge has always rubbed me the wrong way. But I love Blink 182. But fuck, I love Blink 182.
Hello there.
And now he's being like backed by the government. Like he's met with people in Washington. Like now that Trump is.
See, I know. I think I know where you're going with this. Where like it's just like his passion is admirable, whatever he wants to do. But he's a fucking scammer. Like
Because he's being credited by the fucking U.S. government.
I
now.
mean.
The Washington Post
Have
took.
you seen our fucking government lately?
That's what I'm
Exactly.
saying. That goes to show about who the fuck is running this shit. Like,
They're all fucking scammers. So scammers are attracted to the scammers.
So the Washington Post is a scammer because they posted on there saying like after all the speculation, like people who don't believe in UFOs need to believe in UFOs, and they accredited
they have
his
to be.
company.
It's like the original clickbait shit.
yeah,
They have to have something compelling for because they're a business too. This goes back to fucking business. They're a business. They have to have people who
It now
are
goes to the
interested.
top.
They're interested in their stories. So of course they're gonna put some ridiculous ass shit like that. Like everyone's a scammer at this point. Like fuck, everything's a business. Like they just fucking need somebody's attention. Like, that's the biggest fucking currency now.
I was listening to this podcast on my way over here, and they were talking about it's called Behind the Bastards, and they always talk about like dictators. Behind the Bastards. That's the name of the podcast, and they talk about dictators or like scammers in history or whatever. And they were talking about the person that invented talk radio. It was this doctor with air quotes.
Shout out to him because
yeah, he's like
Gave us a good hobby.
he was the original podcaster, but he was a doctor that would get goat testicles and put it inside men sacks, like to
Like replace it?
No, not replace it. Just put them in there with your own nuts, because according to him, that would like increase your libido and your sex drive and like give you more energy, and they didn't do shit. It was just placebo effect. But yeah, he was just super scammy. He bought his medical license and started doing these surgeries, and people were dying left and right, and that they finally stopped them from doing these surgeries, and he moved on to radio, and he built an antenna that was 1 million megawatts, and the strongest one now is 50,000 megawatts. So, and he built it in Del Rio here in Texas, I think.
what? Oh shit! Okay.
And you could get it. You could listen to his radio show all the way in Canada. That's how powerful his antenna was.
Shit.
And I don't think it was in Texas. I think it was in Mexico that he built this antenna. But what I'm trying to say is that he invented this talk radio. He was just spouting nonsense and scamming people for money because he would sell drugs. Not drugs. He would sell medicine through his radio show, and people would send him money. And they credited him with starting country music because he would have country music artists playing songs on the radio, and at that time it wasn't as big as it was now. So what I'm saying is because Tom DeLonge is crazy, but he's using his platform hey everybody, you all like this? Give me money, and he's just using that to fund his scamminess.
Shady people, dude. Speaking of radio, jump completely into a different direction. I was listening to this to Chris D'Elia's Congratulations podcast, and he goes to this segment.
Hey, thanks, man.
Where he talks about he's like remember back in the day when they first invented radio back in 1710. Some fucking stupid ass shit. He's like how the talk show host would always really hit home the K. Welcome to the K car carrier. This is K radio with the K like really strong K's. And he was like this is This is www.krock with a K here live with you, right? And he's like, oh, what about also when they did the W? Like they really took home it's W, but he's like, but they go doubled you. Go if you want some tickets, go to the www.krockwithak.com. We have some Justin Bieber. We have some Chris Brown, even though he beats the shit out of women. Here, going up with you live. Like, dude, he's just going off like on this radio host thing, like www. Like I just like thinking about that shit. Like, yeah, it makes sense. And when I'm listening to this podcast, I'm with my dad at a mechanic shop. So he's doing that bit on the podcast, and my dad walks in during it, and he's listening to it, and my dad's laughing, and he's like, "What radio?" He's like, "What radio show is this?" Like,
just because it's like that tried and true format.
That format.
He's like, make radio great again. Yeah. That's what I miss.
He was literally fucking like cracking up and like, this is good. I'm like, this isn't a radio show. Like, it is a radio show, but it's not what you think it is, you know? And that made me laugh even more. Like, oh, dude, that was a good segment.
Yeah, I remember like going with my parents to help them go through newspapers when they used to have a paper out like at midnight, and around midnight of the show, like it would go from midnight to like in the morning, but it was like Pepito, like
with that crazy laugh.
Yeah, it was like Raul Brindis y Pepito, and like this guy would talk, and then he would make a little kid's voice like talk back to himself. So,
yes, that's right.
So he was just talking to himself, like, and I thought it was the greatest thing ever. I was like, oh my god, like how can he do that? He's so smart.
Wait,
and then like
this?
Raul Brindis, he's like a Mexican, or not Mexican, Hispanic.
Was he a ventriloquist?
No,
it's not a thing anymore, right?
No, I don't think he does a voice anymore. But he still has his radio.
Oh, okay,
he still has his radio show, but I don't think
and
he does
had
a voice.
that specific laugh, right? Like a really weird kid's crazy laugh. No,
like or something like that. No,
it was like like really raspy, like disturbed.
I don't know. But now that I don't listen to radio because I hate radio, but I've noticed like the women on the radio stations always have this raspy like smokers like, hey guys, yeah, like just I don't know, it just irks me. And the guys have this like, yeah, welcome to the moon, just like I don't know, just a certain radio voice that if you hear it, you've heard it like a million times.
I liked NPR, and then they don't have it down here anymore.
Oh no, they replaced it with a Christian radio station.
And it's Mexican and it's Spanish.
Yeah, because we need more of those. Because we need to spread the Lord's
on my van
word.
right there. If I don't have like my phone, or I have my phone all the time. What the fuck am I kidding? But if I don't have like auxiliary, I have auxiliary all the time. What the fuck am I kidding? But in case I don't listen to my phone because I don't want to be on my phone and shit, my number one, you know how you can set the stations, right? My number one was NPR, and I'm like, oh, maybe it's just a specific for like two or 3 days. I guess I missed the memo. I was going back to it like, oh, maybe it's just a specific segment this day. But no, it's like, y ahora necesita la ayuda de Dios. Con él, la vida está normal. Like, it's just going off. And I'm like, dude.
Hermanos y hermanas.
Yeah, I miss hearing. Because NPR had dope interviews of, like, dope fucking people. Like, it was cool. I miss that shit. Why the fuck? Bring back NPR, man. Make a fucking poll on that shit.
Yeah, enough. That's it.
That's the only radio I would listen to. If I had to listen to the radio. And now that they don't have that, Wild 104.
But now.
Fuck that.
Yeah, not my favorite radio station.
But now, let's podcast, dude. That's something new thing.
It is.
I've been seeing a lot of more people with more podcasts. Maybe because we run a podcast page and our Instagram, like we're not really active on it. But when I go to the Discover page, Instagram keeps like suggesting other podcast like pages, and we're just like, okay, I'm listening to the stuff, and they're like, okay, they're good, like, you know, like they're doing the same thing we're doing. So it's a lot of things to listen out there. So thank you for listening to us. You know, making us part of your routine of podcast.
Yeah, we're hopefully we'll get back into this nice schedule and like really give out more content, and hopefully I can be a little more active as well on the Instagram. So y'all need to follow us on Laugh and Death. On Instagram at Laugh and Death, and check out the YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/Laugh and Death podcast.
And if you have a friend that likes podcasts and you think they'll like us, like, you know, let them know. Check them out. Check us out.
Hey, and shout out to Hector, Sam's brother. The cooler of the two twins.
Yeah, the only one who should probably be alive. No,
I'm just kidding. No, dude. Sam, thanks, man. I saw that you were commenting on our YouTube video about you and I saw eye to eye on the last episode, and shout out to you, man. Thanks
shout
for
out to Sam. I haven't chilled with you in a minute, but yeah, thank you, everybody.
Peace out, guys. Thank you.